project 2, what we're going to do is we're going to draw an airplane by tracing a photograph. And then we're going to duplicate the symbol to make a second airplane. Next, we're going to animate our airplane so it can fly all across the screen. We're going to change the flight paths of the airplanes. We're going to make a background and a foreground for the movie. Then we're going to publish the movie. I think you're going to like this one. You can see it's a little bit like your fish movie, but this time you have 2 objects, and you can make whatever path you'd like. Lab 1, we're going to trace the airplane and fill it in with color. So now we go to click here, Action Script 3. It opens up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Save As. If you haven't downloaded your Project 2 resources, then you're going to have to do so. Let me put in my title here, airplane. I click Save. Remember, if you haven't downloaded your course resources, you need to go to the course overview, go to Lab 4, and click this link to download the course resources, because that's how you're going to find your picture. Okay, I'm going to call this layer photo. Then I'm going to import my picture. Go to File, Import, Import to Stage. Okay, when your dialog box comes up, you want to go find your, come back to your folder, go into Project 2, go into Project 2 Resources, go into Photos, and get the plane photo. Click Open. Now obviously we're going to have to resize this photo. So how do you resize it? There are sizing handles on the photo. You can see in this illustration, what you do is you drag on a corner. You resize it from top to bottom. You make it narrower or wider. So you want to make sure you're grabbing a corner so you do both, you do everything, you don't distort the picture, okay? Now I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to do my Control minus. Okay, what I need to do is I need to click my Transform button. I need to make this smaller. So now I make sure that it's onto the stage. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to lock our layer. So, you know, the reason we want to lock a layer is we don't want to accidentally make changes to it. So we click the padlock on the timeline. So it only locks that layer if you click on that lock on that layer. So now you see this little dot here? I'm locking that layer. And now I'm going to add a new layer. I click on my new layer button. I'm going to call it Drawing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make an outline with the brush tool. So now we're going to zoom in on the plane. I can hold down the Control and equals key. Make sure it's centered. So now what I want to do is I want to choose a brush. So I click on the brush. I want to choose a color. So I choose a red color. Now I want to choose a brush size. So I think I'm going to have to pull this over. I just pulled it over, made it fat. But that will help you see what I'm doing. I click the brush size. I want it pretty small. I want to do a brush style. I'm going to pick an average brush style here. Let me just pull this down here. I did this to the toolbar. So yours doesn't look like this, but I'm just trying to show you everything that you can see on it. So now I'm going to begin to draw. So now I just begin and trace the outline of the plane. So you might have to scroll down a bit. Got your outline, you're ready to go. So if you want to zoom out, you just hold down the Control key and click minus. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hide the photo layer. See what that looks like. And the way you do that is you click that dot underneath the eye icon. That's how you hide a layer. It just hides a layer that you put the eye on, and when you want to show it again, you just click it on again. So now I'm going to bring it back and make any changes I want to make. Control equals. And I can also pull up this, I can turn back on the photo again and see if there's any elements I want to fix. Okay, here's a little warning about outline colors. So what we're going to do is we're changing the color of the outline before we make the inside fill. So now what I have to do to select everything on this drawing is I have to click frame 1. That'll select everything. So now I'm going to change the fill color here from red to black. So I just click black. So there you go. Now I'm ready to paint my airplane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on close medium gaps. For sure we're going to need to do this because see, not all the lines meet. So I'm going to go and I'm going to choose a bucket color. Okay, I want a darker red for the bottom. Okay, I have the bucket selected, and now I just pour. One thing that I've found useful to do if you can't find your paint bucket tool to work is click on a brush and make sure the brush is the color you want, same color as the rest of it, and pick something pretty big. I like to pick like about that size. And what I do is I kind of go along the border a little bit. Don't have to be too exact, just don't want to go over your outline. Okay, come around and close all the ends. And then when I click the paint bucket, see, I can pour the color right in the middle. So that's a little cheater secret there if you can't seem to close up your blocks. So once you finish painting your plane, you're all done with Lab 1. Welcome to Lab 2. We're going to make a second plane in Lab 2. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to modify my plane and make it into a symbol. So I click in my frame 1. Then I click modify. Then I click convert to a symbol. And I call this one red plane. And I change the type from button to movie clip, and I click OK. Now I'm going to delete the photo layer. I can click on the photo layer, then I click on the trash can at the bottom of my screen. That deletes the photo. Now for me to make a second plane, all I have to do is copy and paste the original plane I made. Then I'm just going to change the red to blue. Okay, so now that my plane's a symbol, all I have to do to select is I click in my selection tool and I click on it once. Now if I click on it twice, it opens the timeline. You don't want to do that. So just get back out of it and get back to this stage if you double clicked. So now I need to copy this plane. I can right click this plane and go copy, or I could Control C. Right click, copy. Right click, paste. So now I've got a second plane symbol. The one on top is the new one. Now I'm going to go modify, symbol. I click duplicate symbol. Now I'm going to call this blue plane. Now I'm going to make it blue, so I'm going to double click this plane to open up my timeline. And now I'm going to click on the blue bucket, and I'm going to just paint it blue. Well, now I guess I'm going to just get that ink bottle out, change the colors to black, and see if I can't put a border around it. So basically you color up the plane the way you want it to be. Now we're going to click this little blue arrow to get out of scene 1. And now we've got two planes in our internal library. So what's the internal library? This is the internal library that's inside of your computer. That's inside of your project. Every time you make a symbol or you put a picture into your folder, into your Project 1, it becomes part of the Project 1 library. You also have what are called external libraries. External libraries are files outside of the project. So like you could import, say, your clam from Project 1 into your airplane project. Not that you'd want to necessarily, but that comes from an external library now. Now I'm going to create a new file for the movie because my airplane drawing file has both the symbols on one layer. And, that's not going to work so hot for animation. So now I want to close my file. So what I do is I go File, Close. Do I want to save the changes? Of course I do. Just click Yes. Now I'm going to make the new file called Action Chase. So I go up here to create new Action Script 3. Or I can go down from the File menu. Now I go File, Save As. So I'm going to call this one Airplane Chase. Now I'm going to import my files. So I'm going to go File, Import from External, open External Library. I'm going to go into Project 2. And I'm going to open Airplane. So I'm just going to put this library data someplace. There you go. That's kind of overlapping this toolbar. Might want to restore my toolbar the way it should be. Woo! There we go. Put this one back where it's supposed to go. There you go. So I'm all set. That's the end of Lab 2.